Recently, the Ontario government banned cell phone use for students during class time for students in grade 7 and up. But my next guest says it's going to take more than a cell phone ban to mitigate the negative effect of digital technology in the Canadian classroom. Oakville native Vedrana Vodopivec is among the leading lineup of speakers at Congress in 2024. Canada's largest humanities and social sciences conference is taking place June 20th to 21st. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so I read out the headline. It's going to take more than a cell phone ban to get rid of the negative effect on digital technology. First of all, what are the primary negative effects of digital technology on the modern day student?
Well, the research suggests that students are becoming addicted to their cell phones in the classroom. Their cell phone use often takes away from important instructional time. They're unable to focus on learning. They're unable to recover from distraction. So these are some of negative effects that digital technology has on student learning.
Now, the cell phone ban has been put in place, and I'm reading what you stated. You're not saying that this will not help, but it is not enough. Like, do you think the ban will actually help with what's going on?
I personally don't. I
Oh,
believe it is a great initiative. Many teachers agree with the government. 5 years ago, we have taken our first steps in this direction, but we haven't seen many improvements in learning. And this is because not everyone has been on board. We need to learn how to use technology effectively, how to use it for educational purposes, and there is a lot of gray area that needs to be sort of discussed and acknowledged before we can say that a ban like this or limitations like this work.
okay, so let's talk about then. I mean, let's look at technology and how do you see it having a positive effect? Like what else does your research suggest being done?
So there are many positive effects of using technology in the classroom. For example, students with special needs students depend on using technology for learning. Technology makes learning accessible from anywhere. So we have accomplished a lot with the use of technology, but we have also lost many skills. For example, research suggests we no longer memorize information because we record it somewhere else and it is only stored temporarily. So we have gained a lot, but we have also lost some valuable skills, or we're losing in this process of using digital technology in the classroom.
So the cell phone ban, I'm guessing, is, kind of step one. What would you like to see? Like, what would you like to see come next after this?
I would like to see different things. For example, there needs to be consistency across the province, across the country, to see how these changes will be implemented. We need to understand how different school boards and how different communities will react to these changes. We also need to have better communication with each other. This means that teachers need to better communicate with administration. There has to be a lot of support. There also has to be more effective communication between school administration and government. Another thing that would really help us move things forward is that everybody has to be on board, and this includes students and parents. Everyone has to be involved in this process for this to work: administration, school boards, and the government. And finally, we need more frequent reviews. So, for example, the last time we proposed some changes, this was 5 years ago, and this time the government is suggesting perhaps reviewing our performance in 3 years. Maybe we need to review more frequently to see how effectively we're moving forward and implementing these changes.
You said everybody needs to get on board, and I think the biggest challenge might be getting the students themselves on board to say, "Hey, we're giving up our cell phones." That is tough at any time in life. So being in the classroom, even with that, I mean, they depend on them for everything nowadays. So this step one might be difficult. I'm curious though, are there models that you have seen in other countries that are working? Anything that we can borrow from out of Canada?
Well, when I conducted my research last year, I focused on research from all over the world, and I reviewed more than 30 different studies. There are different suggestions that researchers are making. So, for example, educating ourselves about the use of technology in the classroom, understanding when it's absolutely necessary, when it will help us learn more effectively, and then making those educated decisions on whether or not to use technology and whether or not to instruct students to use technology in the classroom. So that would be one suggestion. So to learn about how to use digital technology responsibly in the classroom setting.
Now, and I hate to end this on a down note, but I do have to ask this question. In your opinion, if more is not done, what do you see happening to the education system and really society as a whole?
This is not an easy question to answer. I'm not sure. I think we're heading in the right direction, tackling this issue, acknowledging that there is an issue. We also have to see how student perceptions have changed over the years. So there are some really interesting studies from a couple of years ago that suggest that students' perceptions are now changing, and students are calling for more responsible use of technology in the classroom. And of course, a lot of it comes down to their educators who are managing those large classrooms. So moving forward, I think the important thing is that we are acknowledging that there's something that needs to be addressed here. And I'm optimistic that we're going to figure out how to tackle this issue.
Well, I'm glad you went optimistic there. That's a nice way to end things.
Yes.
Vedrana, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me.